Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, is a giant ape-like creature that is said to roam the Pacific Northwest. There is scant physical evidence that such creature exists, but Bigfoot buffs are convinced that they do, and that science will soon prove it. While most sightings of Bigfoot occur in the Northwest, the creatures have been reported all over the country. There are many native myths and legends of wild men in the woods, but Bigfoot per se has been around for only about 50 years. Interest in Bigfoot grew rapidly during the second half of the 20th century, spurred by magazine articles of the time, most seminally, a December 1959 True article describing the discovery of large, mysterious footprints the year before in Bluff Creek, California. If you don't believe in Bigfoot, singular or plural, you're not alone. According to a 2007 Baylor Religion Survey, only 16% of Americans said that Bigfoot absolutely or probably existed, with 44% responding probably not, and about 40% saying that they absolutely do not exist. In contrast, over twice as many people believe in ghosts or astrology. By far, the most common evidence for Bigfoot is eyewitness reports. Unfortunately, this is also by far the weakest type of evidence. Psychologists and police know that eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable and that people are simply not very good at accurately describing something they saw, especially at a distance, in low light, and when the subject is partially hidden by trees and foliage, as most Bigfoot reports are. Anyone could be mistaken, and pilots, policemen, priests, and public officials are no exception. Most Bigfoot researchers admit that the vast majority of sightings are mistakes or hoaxes, up to 95% by some estimates. Still, they insist that a Bigfoot must be hiding in that tiny portion of sightings and reports that can't be easily explained. In his book, Big Footprints, veteran researcher Grover Krantz, Johnson Books, 1992, discussed alleged Bigfoot hair, feces, skin scrapings, and blood. The usual fate of these items is that they either receive no scientific study, or else the documentation of that study is either lost or unobtainable. In most cases where competent analysis have been made, the material turned out to be bogus, or else no determination could be made. When a definite conclusion has been reached through scientific analysis, the samples have invariably turned out to have ordinary sources. Bigfoot hair turns out to be elk, bear, or cow hair, for example, or Bigfoot blood is revealed to be transmission fluid. Sometimes alleged Bigfoot samples are subjected to DNA analysis and are deemed unknown or unidentified. However, unknown or unidentified results do not mean Bigfoot. There are many reasons why a DNA sample might come back unknown, including that it was contaminated or too degraded by environmental conditions, or it could simply mean that the animal it came from was not among the reference samples that the laboratory used for comparison. We have no reference sample of Bigfoot DNA to compare it to, so by definition, there cannot be a conclusive match. In fact, genetics provides another reason to doubt the existence of Bigfoot. There cannot just be one elusive creature. There would need to be tens of thousands of them in order to assure enough genetic diversity to maintain the species. With so many of them out there, surely at least one of the creatures would be killed by a hunter or hit by a motorist on a highway, or even found dead by accident, disease, or old age, by a hiker or a farmer at some point. Yet no bodies, bones, or anything else has been found. Hoaxers have further contaminated the problem of sorting fact from fiction. Dozens of people have admitted faking Bigfoot prints, photographs, and nearly every other type of Bigfoot evidence. One man, Rant Mullins, revealed in 1982 that he and his friends had carved giant Bigfoot tracks and used them to fake footprints for decades. Which are real, which are fake? Often the Bigfoot experts themselves can't agree. The lack of good evidence hasn't dampened the enthusiasm of Bigfoot buffs. They have all they need in sighting reports, fuzzy photos, inconclusive hair samples, and footprints to keep the search going. Until better evidence comes along, old evidence will be rehashed and re-examined, and unless Bigfoot is proven to be alive, the search will continue. I would like to end today's segment with two short articles of alleged Bigfoot sightings from right here in the state of Indiana. The first is from right here in our very own Madison County, Indiana. The second is from Terre Haute, Indiana. Strange experience of Mrs. Dawn Chestnut got significant coverage in the local press. An Indiana State Police report printed in the Anderson Herald on August 11, 1977, said the Elwood resident spotted an unidentified walking object, or UWO, while driving on P Street before dawn the day before. According to police, the report read, Mrs. Chestnut said she was driving from Elwood to Anderson to pick up her husband from work when she saw the creature in the road. The Bigfoot was reportedly about 8 to 9 feet tall with hair all over it, resembling a large monkey. The report ended. Police say Bigfoot-type creatures were reportedly seen quite often in this area 80 to 100 years ago, but this is the first report of this kind in several years. An article 6 days later in the Alexandria Times-Tribune speculated that the animal Chestnut saw may have been a horse that frequents the same stretch of road at night. The news article mentioned several other big animal encounters in the area, including another alleged Bigfoot sighting in Tipton County 2 years earlier. If Bigfoots do still live in the area, it seems they've gone back deep into hiding. A Madison County conservation officer said last week that the only strange animal sighting he could recall happened 3 years ago when a collared wolf traveled 600 miles from Wisconsin to Randolph County. An article comes from WGN Channel 9's web desk. It goes as follows. Terre Haute, Indiana. It looks like Bigfoot could be closer than we ever thought. There are reported sightings in Indiana every year. The most recent one happened in October 2015 in a state forest in Martinsville. I had heard a sound that still haunts me to this day. It was the loudest howl I'd ever heard, and I've grown up in the woods. I've heard numerous animal noises, including the crazy coyotes, and this was not a coyote, an anonymous hunter said. It was almost as if I had spooked what I believe was indeed a Bigfoot, and he was letting me know that this was his territory. Another sighting happened 41 years ago. Tyra Cataline says she was in a car at Millrace Park in Columbus when she saw a creature in the distance that suddenly ran fast right at her. That thing was throwing itself at the car. It was the most horrible thing you ever looked at. Its face was all slimy and everything, Cataline said. It was something. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't somebody wearing a costume. The website Indiana Bigfoot reports these sightings, and it says they happen all across the state, with many near Terre Haute and Brown County, mostly in the spring and the fall.